أكبر.
نحمده تعالى ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن بالله ونشكره ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله وصفيه وخليله أدى الأمانة بلغ رسالة نصح هذه الأمة وجاهد في الله حتى توفاه ربه فصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وكل من اهتدى بهداهم واستنى بسنتهم إلى يوم الجزاء والدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. My dear brothers, what I want to talk about today is a topic that will resonate with the era in which we are living in. The era of the social media, the era of the superficial lifestyle. Today I'm going to talk about, in fact this week and next week khutbah, I'm going to talk about how to become famous. And I know that this topic will resonate a lot with people in this room, especially our young generation. First of all, the search for fame is something deeply embedded within the human nature. The search for fame is something which we are born with. The human nature, we as humans are seeking for fame. We love to appear. We love to be the focus of attention, to be the focus of those who are around us. The human being also hates the fading of reputation and being forgotten. In many cases, the desire for fame is more important than the desire for wealth itself. Because for many people, the fame might bring wealth, while wealth might not bring fame. So, given that the love of fame is something deeply important and deeply embedded within ourselves, within our human nature, is it legitimate to wonder how can we become famous? And I'm sure that this type of question, this generation of the social media asks themselves this type of question many times. It is a frequent question that comes and that are raised in the soul, in the thoughts, in the minds of many people, especially the younger generation who is captive by the social media, who sees in those who are famous in the social media role models to be followed, who sees in those who have X number of followers, counting probably by the millions, a role models and a target to be achieved and to be resembled. So, before answering this question, which will be the subject of next week, I'm going to talk about this worldly fame. Is it the right type of fame? Is it something which we really need to be looking for? Is it really something which we as humans need to be seeking? And I think this is a very important khutbah for the parents who wants to give the right arguments to their children and who wants to put them right and wants to set them right in their lives. And to our younger generation who are able to understand my argument. As I say, a lot of people, when we speak about them, it's all about looking for number of followers, looking to become famous, taking this and that as a role model, as someone to be similar to look like similar to behave in the same way as that person. As I mentioned, inshallah, next week's khutbah, we are going to talk about how to become famous in the praiseworthy manner. However, in this one, I'm going to focus about the worldly fame. To those who are running after the worldly fame, and to those who might be seeking that type of fame, who might have all their lives centered towards that type of fame, I shall start by saying that the religion has given no importance whatsoever to this worldly fame. To the worldly life fame, the religion has given no importance whatsoever. It even condemns it. It is true that false and fake fame of this worldly life might bring you closer to people, might bring you a number of followers, might bring your name and your name might be known in so many circles. However, that doesn't necessarily bring you the happiness. That doesn't necessarily bring you the tranquility, the peace of mind, the peace of the heart. That doesn't really set your life right. It is not necessarily something which, once you achieved it, you become happier, or you become happier, or even you have a better lifestyle. On the opposite side, once you achieve that type of fame, it brings you closer to the psychological issues, to the mental health issues, and to the spiritual torment. To those who are searching for this type of fame, I will just give you some arguments. The first one is a study that had been done in the US, in one of the US universities. The second one is some hadith. The third one is the life of our predecessors. And the fourth and last one is some verses from the Quran, just to set the debate right in your mind. First of all, let's look at a study that has been published in the American Journal of Personality Research. Researchers at the University of Rochester, USA, what they did is they monitored 147 students, university graduates mainly, 2 years after their graduation, to see whether the fame and the fortune will bring them the happiness or will bring them the misery. And what they found is that the majority, for them, the fame and the fortune did not bring them happiness. On the opposite side, what it brought them is the misery. And I think it echoes a lot with what you hear as well, of so many people having so many X million of followers and showing only the good side of their life, but not showing whatsoever the bad sides and the bad aspects that they are suffering from. And you have all seen or heard about people committing suicide after achieving all of that fame, after achieving all of that so-called fame or the social media fame. So this is a study that for those who only understand and only are convinced by the worldly studies. Let's turn towards the hadith. We hear the Prophet ﷺ saying about this kind of, about the fame. We hear the Prophet ﷺ saying, "Man labisa thawba shuhratin albasahu Allah yawm al-qiyamati thawba madallah." Whoever wears a garment of pride and vanity in this worldly life, Allah will clothe him in a garment of humiliation on the day of the resurrection. So it's not something within our religion that is praiseworthy. This worldly fame, the fact that someone is just running and dedicating all his life and all his energy in becoming famous is not something which is praiseworthy in our religion. It's something which is condemned by our religion. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Inna Allah yuhibbul abda al-taqi al-naqi al-taqi al-ghani al-khafi." The Prophet ﷺ, he said in another hadith, Allah loves the servant who is God-conscious, who is free from wanting, who is not seeking this worldly life's wealth. And the last one, the most important one, the one who is hidden, the one who does things not to be recognized, or not to be called, or not to be said that he has achieved, or not to be said that he has done so and so, but the one who does the things for the sake of his Lord, keeping it secret between him and his Lord. وَكَمْ مِنْ مَعْرُوفٍ, and we all hear the expression, how many people are known in this worldly life. However, up there, among the angels and Allah, nobody knows them. Right, so this is a study and this is a hadith. The third thing is the life of our predecessors. When we look at the life of our predecessors, we should really take advice from our righteous. We should really take advice of those who have preceded us in the right path. Al-Mawardi, he was with Imam Ahmad. And we know Imam Ahmad has achieved the fame that people of this era would want to achieve. Imam Ahmad has achieved it in the praiseworthy sense of it. He was not running after the fame. He became famous because of his knowledge. And although he was famous because of his knowledge, when Al-Marwadi, he asked him about advice, he said, قُلْ لِعَبْدِ الْوَهَابِ. He said, Imam Ahmad, he said, tell Abdul Wahab, another person who is of knowledge, and he starts being famous. He said, tell him that I have been, hide your affair, hide yourself, I have been tested with the fame. So Imam Ahmad, one who has achieved the fame, he feels that he has been tested with it. It's not a blessing that he is feeling, but Khalid ibn Mi'dan, someone who has very knowledgeable person. And in all these examples, what you will see is that people were famous because of their knowledge. They have never sought to be famous because of what they are going to say, or the way they are going to dress in the media, or the way they are going to try to convince their followers, or the way they are going to seduce their followers. No, they have achieved it in the right sense. And although they have achieved it in the right sense, they were not necessarily happy with it. Imam Ahmad, he feels it was a testing for him. Another example is Khalid ibn Mi'dan. He had a circle of students that many of us would like to have. He has a circle of students, and when his circle of teaching became so full of students, he would stand up and he would leave that circle for the sake of hating being famous. Another example, and the last one, is Sufyan al-Thawri. What he said is, إِيَّاكَ وَالشُّهْرَةَ فَمَا أَتَيْتُ أَحَدًا إِلَّا وَنَهَانِي عَنِ الشُّهْرَةِ. He said, beware of fame. I have never come to one of my predecessors, to one of those righteous people, unless he has forbade me from seeking for it. So someone might object, but this predecessors, the life that I'm talking about, is different than our lifestyle. These people have lived in an era in which there were no social media. There was no social media in the way that we know it today. And the answer is, their life is far, far better than ours, at least from a religious perspective. You all know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he said, خَيْرُ الْقَوْمِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. The best generation is my generation, then the one that follows it, then the one that follows the latter. So their lifestyle and their life, at least from a religious sense, was far better than ours. Right, if you are still not convinced by all these arguments, and you are still thinking, and your soul might still be tempted to run after the worldly fame, I shall finish by one verse and two examples. The verse is, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The most honorable person for Allah is not the one who has X number of followers, is not the one who is known by this and that. It's not the one who is achieving so many targets in the social media. It's the one at Atqakum, is the one that he is fair in his law. He's the one that he is God conscious. He's the one who does the thing. At-taqiyya al-ghani al-khafi. One who does things, not showing people, because he doesn't care about what people say. Because in the hereafter, none of these people whom you think are following you, or whom you think are important to you, will help you in any way, shape, or form. The two examples are, the first example is the example of Yunus ibn Matta. Yunus ibn Matta, he was a prophet, and one day he found himself in a boat, and that boat was sinking, and he was chosen to be thrown in the sea. He was thrown in the sea. He was eaten by an enormous fish. So he was in three darknesses. Allah he describes his situation, فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ ثَلَاثٍ, in three darknesses. The darkness of the sea, the darkness of the night, the darkness of being in the belly of a fish. And he raises his voice, لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ سُبْحَانَكَ إِنِّي كُنْتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ. And what the angel said is, صَوْتٌ مَعْرُوفٌ, a voice that is known. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا. Allah Azza wa Jalla, what he said is, they used to call us, they used to invoke us. So what the angel said is, صَوْتٌ مَعْرُوفٌ, this voice is certainly known from a land that is not known. He was not used to make the invocation from that state in the sea. And although that was his state, Allah Azza wa Jalla, what He said, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And we have responded to him, and we have relieved him from the hardship. And that's how we are going to relieve our believers. The second example is in the sea again. One who has achieved the fame that anyone would like to achieve. Fir'aun, مَا عَلِمْتُ لَكُمْ إِلَهًا غَيْرِي. What he said to his people is that I don't know any Lord to you apart from myself. He said, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى عِيَاذًا بِاللَّهِ. He said, I am your Lord. Someone who has achieved all the wealth and the fame of this worldly life, and yet when he was turning in the same manner as Yunus, he raised his voice, لا إله إلا. He raised his voice, آمنت أنه لا إله إلا الذي آمن به بنو إسرائيل. I believe in the one in whom the children of Israel have believed, and they are one of the Muslims. What was the divine response? الآن وقد عصيت قبل وكنت من المفسدين. Now that you have done what you have done, and you have been amongst the wrongdoers. فيوم ننجيك ببدنك لتكون لمن خلفك آية. As I mentioned, the main aim of this topic is that for those who understand my argument, for those who understand for those who understand what I talked about, I think we should change our mindset and we should change our focus, not towards this worldly fame, but towards the praiseworthy fame that I'm going to talk about next week. So next week, I'm going to shift the focus towards the right fame that we should be seeking after. We should be seeking for, inshallah. اللهم احفظ علينا اعمارنا واوقاتنا. اقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. استغفر الله وهو الغفور الرحيم.